people buy it. And sometimes they buy it, by the pallet or the gross or what have you. They buy these old Border Patrol flashlights and other items the government got years of use out of. But in the middle of the warehouse, still sitting in the original boxes, the reporter also found 6 full-body airport scanners that have never been used. A warehouse employee said these are basically new. Now, we asked the question, what does basically mean? And the warehouse employee said they bought them and were going to use them, but never did. So they never came out of the box. That's basically new. Aha! I see, said the deaf man to the blind man. The TSA confirms that the 6 that were found were part of a larger group of 250 scanners that we, the taxpayer, paid $40 million for, and that the TSA is now trying to get rid of. About a third were never even used in airports. And the ones that were used to screen passengers are taken out of service after about 2 years. Most taxpayers are not going to expect the government to be throwing away essentially $160,000 scanners, but $40 million worth. And this is from Leslie Page from Citizens Against Government Waste. I don't know where Leslie thinks these things are going to go. But it goes back to the controversy in 2010 when they were first unveiled. Congress agreed with passengers that the X-ray image the scanner showed of travelers were too graphic. So in 2012, it passed a law requiring new software that could reduce the resolution on the scanner displays, but that didn't work either. Because the company that manufactured Rapiscan was unable to modify the software, so the TSA scrapped all 250 and had to pay even more taxpayer money to replace them all. The group Citizens Against Government Waste says TSA should have demanded a refund or set up a pilot program before paying for all of those scanners. I agree, but government doesn't do anything like that, or our government doesn't. So back in 2012, they kind of got rid of these, but you still had to go through the TSA, take off your belt, take off your shoes, take off your tie. It's unbelievable what you have to go through in order to get to board an airplane nowadays. It's the utter stupidity of it. And again, some of it is designed to prostrate you into a compliance position. How much of a badass can you be without your belt on so your pants might fall down and you're in your socks? It's kind of difficult. It really, unless you're like Bruce Lee or something, it's really difficult to be in that type of a position. Not having, beltless pants and, especially if you're one of those people that like to wear your clothing a little bit loosely around the pantaloon area. I find it amazing that some of these kids, they actually wear belts, that the belts actually keep the pants where they're at because they wear them so low. And I actually saw, and I don't normally respond when I see kids wearing droopy drawer pants. Occasionally I might say, hey, you should pull up your pants. But I understand. I'm not their parent. But this kid, the interesting, I don't know how many pairs. Evidently he was wearing, at least 2 pairs of underwear, because this is how he was wearing his clothing. And he was wearing a shirt, propped up so everybody could definitely tell how he was wearing his pants. His pants were literally belted, but just below the butt. Kind of like it was used like a bra to hold up the butt cheeks, but that's where the pants were. And then he had a pair of underwear, or shorts or what have you, but they weren't all the way up because under the ones that the underwear was actually all the way up to his waist. So he was like showing off three different things. I had to say something. I got to tell you, dude, you kind of look foolish. Pull up your pants. And he gave me the dirtiest look, and all I did was look at him and say, if you ever get in trouble, how are you going to run? You can't get away from the cops, man. And as soon as I said you can't get away from the cops, guess what he did? Pulled up his pants. And really? That's all that's probably all we have to go around doing now. If you want these kids to pull up their pants, just tell them if you ever get in trouble, find yourself in trouble, you can't run away from the cops in those pants like that. You better pull them up. And then they'll probably pull them up. But I had never seen anything like it in my life. But that's I guess that's I hope that's not the new fashion trend. But anyway, it's Friday. Where was I? I was talking about something more important than holding up your pants and the belt in the TSA. So you gotta take your belt off. You gotta take your shoes off. What else you gotta take off all your jewelry, I think, except for maybe your wedding band. So you gotta make sure if you bring a laptop, it has to be on and open, I guess, or something, so they can see. It has to be able to be turned on in an instant. I don't know about tablets and stuff. Maybe they're too small to have to worry about, but laptops have to be, which is one reason why I didn't bring, on my first trip to San Francisco in an airplane, I didn't bring my laptop simply because it takes forever for that thing to turn on. Even when it's asleep, it still takes forever to boot up, and they'd probably be looking at me like, "You sure this is a computer?" So I left it at home. But the body scanners, that didn't do a thing. It didn't. They were still groping people. Oh yeah. Well, and if you opted out of those things, then they tried to humiliate you for opting out. And most people, they didn't want to be bothered because they tell you to arrive like 2 hours before your flight. But see, the problem is they don't allow you to start going through the checkpoint until a certain period of time. So that certain period of time doesn't give you enough time to really want to mess with the TSA by saying, I don't want to go through that body scanner. They do all this stuff on purpose, folks. Because they know that you're gonna be worried about missing your flight. So if they're not going to allow you to even come through this through the gate, into the secure section until an hour before your flight, and you see all these people lined up trying to get into on the same airplane or multiple aircraft, you're just gonna say, oh, crap. I know I'm gonna have to wait until they get done screening everybody, and then they're gonna have to screen me personally and privately, and then I'm gonna miss my flight. So they do it all on purpose, and it isn't catching anybody. It didn't catch anybody. It didn't. Hell, how many times have people still brought stuff onto the plane, or tried to? Oh yeah, I forgot. I can see if don't bring a firearm. I fully understand that. Remember when they were taking people's fingernail clippers away? We were a laughing stock in the world. United States airports. United States airports. You can't take fingernail clippers. They are afraid somebody's going to hijack an aircraft with fingernail clippers. That was true. And, you still can't, you utilize or bring, you put your shampoos and everything in these little tiny little bottles. And it has to be, you have to be able to take it out so they can see it. They can look at it, maybe even open it up and sniff it Just and taste it maybe to make sure that it's shampoo and conditioner and shaving cream. This is, it's the modern thing. Because our government says that we should be afraid of everything. We should be afraid of fingernail clippers and a stupid nail file. Well, you can jab and stab somebody with a nail file. Do you know how thin a nail file is, even the metal ones? You know how easy it is just to bend those things? I mean, most people, if they get stabbed with it, unless they get stabbed in the soft tissue, they're going to bend the stupid things and they're not even going to puncture you. I'm being serious. Sure, you're going to get poked and it's going to hurt, but by that time, it's definitely not a deadly weapon. And they're not very big, so it's not exactly, wouldn't be very easy to wield such a thing as a weapon. Because they're tiny. And if you threaten somebody with it, they probably wouldn't even see it. And the fingernail clippers. Oh yeah, you're gonna bust down the new anti-terrorist doors to the cockpit and threaten the pilots with a pair of fingernail clippers. I just don't. I don't. None of this stuff is the TSA stuff, or excuse me, the NSA stuff, the snooping, the domestic. It doesn't keep us safe. All it does is make us feel like we're safer, but we're not safer, and it takes away and erodes your own freedom. Plain and simple. That's what it's designed for. It's designed to get you to capitulate, to roll over, to even get to a point where you're freely willing to give away even more of your liberty. Because it's kind of like, it's the old frog in the pot thing. You try to toss a frog into a hot pot, he's going to jump out as quick as he can. But put the frog in a nice, lukewarm pot of water, he'll stay. Slowly turn up the heat, he won't get out until it's too late. And it's too late because he's dead and cooked. The same thing with humans. We're being told, and Americans, we're being told, well, this will keep you safe. So if it's not really, really, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear about this law. This is what we're told. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Well, that's a bogus argument. I have nothing to hide, but I have everything to fear from my government. So, but they try to tell you, well, if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to fear. No, yeah, I got plenty to fear when government gets involved. This whole notion that I should be open because if I don't have anything to hide, I should allow them to look at it. Look, then where is privacy? Where is you just being allowed to be you? If you don't do anything illegal, where is it that you're just allowed to be you? When you have overbearing, overwatchful government, you're not allowed to be you. I'm not kidding, folks. You don't get to be just you. You have to be something that even in your private life, you have to be something that you're probably not, just in order to keep government from bugging you and harassing you and haranguing you and probably arresting you and throwing you in jail. Can you imagine? Well, maybe you secretly like Marilyn Manson music. But if you have nothing to hide, the government's going to say, well, we need to know what kind of music you listen to. And you're going to say, well, why? Because there could be something in there that could, be construed as being not so nice towards America. Well, now you're going to be scared to death that maybe Marilyn Manson is going to be on the hit list, so you're not going to listen to Marilyn Manson anymore. Not that I would ever listen to it, but you get my point. Now you don't get to do something that you enjoy for fear of it looks bad in the eyes of the government. The government doesn't need to see everything about you. And that's one reason why Americans didn't like those stupid full body scanners. Because it didn't protect us. Not really. But now we're paying for getting rid of them, and they're only about $10 a piece if you want one.